I just watched the video on YouTube and it was like here, because it's very like this thing is. Like what? I do it. I was like, this is guys, but. And it was basically close Bloodborne has the heavy argument, but they only max out people versus like you don't really get you just get Sekiro does the same thing. It's kind of it's a hodgepodge very
Every day since the second week of class. The first week it was fine. People started trying to take an hour before they come to class. Or the night before.
Okay. So let's start our web programming class. Luckily, I think my voice is not that good right now, so I
Feel like hot tea or something.
hot tea maybe. Yeah. Okay. Not that good, so I will try, but you could because you all submit the assignment to just like finish your page like using the form, like post using Stage, and we try to build the API server, the Happy.js and MongoDB. So I will try to sometime help you to fix this issue, because if you need to work on your assignment. And mainly this one will kind of like build a really simple web page. But mainly you need to, like for the front end, you should able to have a functions like you should able to display the data and then also allow you to upload the data. Okay, so maybe you can create a form, maybe if you want to create a login page, opt-in page, or like if you want to create a page to put some message or any information is okay. So at least to build like for the backend, use the API Happy.js to build the API server. So at least you should have one get method and one post method. Okay, and connect with your MongoDB. So so far, if you use my template I give you, and if you're able to like execute and fetch the data, then you should able to complete the like assignment 3. Okay, just like mainly you need to work on the CSS, and you can integrate with the like Bootstrap UI. So make your website that looks more, at least looks beautiful or nice. Okay. And you just need to do the same if you have created any new pages, then try to upload all your source code and also provide a screenshot of your like the final product, and then at least like the pages, and then upload your data to the server and then refresh it like after you fetch the data. So what the new data, what did you upload? Yeah, so at least you should have a screenshot of this content. So you feel free to use any other like modules or plugins. Let's say if you want to fetch, I give you an example, it's like called the use stage, and I use effect and then using the fetch function. So it's like the one comes with React. But also we also have another plugin you need to install. So it also you can help you to fetch the data. So you can, if you're interested, then you can try. But this one I will cover, like tell you what's this one, and then you can use, because there's so many Node modules available in the for the React or Node.js modules in this community. So you can choose the one right now may be popular, because it may change. Like let's say this version is popular maybe next week or next month. There's new modules I release have similar function, but it's getting more maybe reliable or somehow maybe have better features. So we always like checking the community or any popular we say the modules we can use. Yeah, so always try to refer to an online document. Yeah, you usually like running on your AWS, but I know some of you like maybe lost the connection, but at least you can test within your local desktop, because if you once you install the MongoDB, Happy.js or the React, actually everything can execute, like can run in your same environment. Yeah. You can just like connect using your local host. Then you need to define, okay, let's say if you running everything under your local host, and you will using Happy.js using the port 3000, then your React will change to 3001 or N2, but it will automatically detect the host you already occupy. So it will pass one. Okay. And so far everything you can, I know because at AWS, sometimes the connection is not stable, it just kick you out. So if you want to test it, then you can do it locally. Yeah. And just screenshot. Okay. Even you can like show the data from my MongoDB after you post the data, you should able to see a new record stored over there. Okay. And that's what you need to do for your third assignment. So after you finish the third assignment, you should able to complete the whole project, right? This one is like once you know how to build a website, then you will know how to connect to the API server, and then API server how to retrieve the data. Yeah, so basically we will be like upload the data and get the data. So if you're able to do all these things, then so far will be you learn the core of this like for this class. Okay, so it's web programming and interface. Okay, so because I give you kind of like 2 weeks, you can try to do it like earlier. If you have any question, feel free to ask me, or like come to this when you come to the class, you can ask me. Okay, if any skills, technique, or something you don't know, then you can ask me. Okay, and let's move on about something about our class lecture. Then I will let you to practice like to use it. If you know the JavaScript, or I asked like this question before. We have a new version comes out. It's the new features called the ES6. So ES6 it change certain syntax or variable. Okay. And we have something like called the arrow function, template, literal, or modules. So that's what we cover for this. We have still more things. And also we have like a synchronized program also come with the like promise, async, and await. Also, we will know about client side. Client side, that means maybe on our maybe on our cell phone, or like maybe your Chrome, the web browser. So we have called the storage option, local storage or index DB, and also we'll handle with the caching. So put a lot right here. Start with the first one is like you will use a lot for building your website. So the one we pretty common to use one is called the arrow function. We can do it as a regular way. We try to create a variable. Then we can just say, okay, create a function and then have a curly bracket and then x equals x plus y, and then x equals to x plus y, or y equals to x plus y. But also we can have a function called the arrow. So if you look at the source code that I gave you, maybe you have some functions returning. So we will see most of them is just like returning HTML pages. But for the text, will be like this. Okay. So you don't have to really, for this course, it's not only working for the React.js, but if you're writing for any program, only part of it, using the Node.js, it works. So start with this one. I would like to, if you can like create a JS file, and then you can copy the code I gave you, or like you can follow this one. And then you can see, first, if I create a function, arrow function, and then try to log it, and then try to see. Yeah, so you don't have to really even start a React. So you can just like copy this too and log it. Let's say like this. Just put it on template. But that's not gonna replace it. Okay, so see, here's the called the arrow function. So you can try to execute this one. If you know, in the old time when you learn JavaScript, you will see the syntax VAR, and then maybe I call it like X or Y equals to something. And actually this one, when we break down, so it's kind of similar to like create a function, and then function equals the getting the parameter. So if you see the X plus Y, how it works. So we adding together and then just return it. So if you want to log X and also Y, let's say like this. Then, okay, need to pass right here. So I put in function. And to put it back. We'll put it. And I will introduce like two variables. So you will see right here we will have a called like constant. So or like the one we call the let. So LET. So we have two. So as I call the X, Y, Z equals to something at arrow. Okay, so also I can do in this way. Yeah. Zoom in. Okay. Then I need to change it. Yeah. Okay. Then I need to change the text form.
Oh, it's literally the same thing.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Yeah, I just okay.
Like,
That is
that's
a
fine.
it's the same. I just
Yeah, as long
show
as
it.
we have
Okay,
the
yeah.
that's fine. I just couldn't even tell what the other stuff was.
Yeah. I just try to tell you like all these functions what they're doing. So let's say I pass one more, maybe 10, 2. Okay. So I will do it in this way, and then okay. Just letting you know we have different type to call the function, and okay. And I should, well, when they are too big, it's really hard for me to read it. So I just do it right here. Okay. So the first line I gave you from the PowerPoint. So you see, I just have this one is called the arrow function. So you can put it, if you have more steps you need to handle with, you can just like put the curly bracket like this. Okay, and then maybe you will save it and return any other value, or if you need to do something else. Maybe let's say if you need to change like edit and then not only X plus Y, but also I will do something else, then you can do it like X plus Y and then X times 2 like this, and then you can return it. Maybe I will return the Z like this. You're still okay.
Is there a limit to the number of parameters we can pass to that function?
No, depends on how many you declare. You can pass as much as you want, like A, B, C, like this. You can pass like 4 parameters. Okay, that's how you declare. Okay, so like this. Okay, so here's called the arrow function. Compare with the regular way we create a function. If we learn the I can show you from here. Copy. So some traditional way we create a function. Maybe we say add function. Okay, like this. And then I need to pass the value and then just like this. It's an old time when we create a function. We are doing this way, like define is a function and then passing parameter AB. That's how it works. But it's a new feature for the ES6. So they changed the syntax. So they are doing exactly the same things. So they are kind of like meaning, and then we can return the x plus y. So let me put it back. Y. So if you look at the syntax, so both of them, they are doing the same things right here. Then you can choose the way you like. Like if you want to stay with the latest one called the ES6, the new features, then you can using the arrow function to create, just like put the name equal sign. So here will be the parameters. So you can see the bracket. So it's same if you learn Python, you know, those they are more likely handled as an object instead of the data type. So const is a constant value. After we return, we cannot modify the value. But if you using the let, then you can define and update anytime. So that with the arrow is the major function body, and you can execute more than one single line. So you can have multiple lines. So if single line, you can remove the curly bracket, but if you have multiple, you can just add it. Okay, put everything inside. So you can add more function, like more statements right here. So it works. Okay, like this. So they are working, the structure will be the same. Okay, so here's the first thing you need to know is the modifier and the variable. Long time ago, if you see the JS, it called the var. So it's called variable. So it would automatically detect the function. So if we define like a equals to a text, maybe a name, then it will know, okay, it's a string. If you put it like a equals to 1, 2, 3, so it would detect as an integer. Okay, if you put it as a phone number, oh no, okay, it's a phone number. Okay, but nowadays we replace the var to let or constant, so you can replace it as a let or let. Okay, so when you implement or working on your React project, so this is what you all commonly see. So if you look at the source code you have, and all here will be like using, if we create constant, and then it's an arrow function. Okay, so here's everything. It will be the example we are using. Okay, and return. Okay, and I also upload all these function. I have one arrow function. I have more. Okay. Let me copy. So copy this one to text. Oh, if you are too small, okay. Here's the source. I'll upload all this source code. Let me see if maybe not yet. Okay. Which 7 code? Could you see the code I upload to the D2L? I think, okay. I think it's a zip file, right? So it contains all my, suppose it should be the, yes, week 7 code. So that one should be all the code we are going to test and use for today's class. If you are really hard to follow, if you don't. Of course, like for you to learning something new, I recommend that instead of copy and paste, you can try to type it by yourself. Okay, and then you can pick up the structure. So right here, I already go through is like how can we regular create a function, and then like calling is an arrow function. So you will see we'll do it exactly the same, and also we can like create some object itself also try to create a function. So if we do the same, we just like using the dot notation. So the kind of like when we apply the OO concept, if you know the Java, if you learn the Java. So here's the value constant, we have an object and then create a function for it. So after we create the object, like right here, get the object, and then also we can use the dot notation, get value, we'll call the function. So we'll return this one. So if you want to try to follow to create the object and then try to get it. Okay. So suppose, and then if you execute, you can modify like not only just like get this value, but also if you learn this, I think maybe you learn other, maybe Java, you know the keyword this. So it's referring to this object, right? So no, so I will get this value. So it's the same. So you can add more value, or like you can this value plus something and then return it. It's still okay. So all this you will see we're using the arrow arrow function pointing to it. Okay. And the next one is the template. So the template literal is just allow multi-line string or string like interpolation. So if we declare one single line, you will see the format would be like this, like cons or let the name and then use John. So with the quotation. So this one should be the common format you will see, or like sometimes if we need to pass it as a parameter. So we will put it right here. I think before there's some problem when you copy the text. So if you need to like adding the parameter, like pass the string as a parameter, then you remember use the quotation. I think the one is like on your top, so you need to be careful which one we're using. And this one can use for multiple lines. So it may help you if you want to. Let me show you right here. Template. Okay. Because sometimes when you try to type on some string or text, you don't like it's a really long. You want to like break down your string, like complete sentence, but you don't want to affect the like the structure, like original structure. So that you can do it in this way. Even though we put it in multiple lines, like we break down in multiple lines or like put the input. Sometimes not only the text, also if you want to like inject some SQL statement, but if you want to let it looks like a multiple line, then you can do it in this way. So let's say I have I just let SQL, right? So I can do the same. So it's like maybe I can put it like this. Maybe I want to start with select and then start. And next one is from a table, and then where have a like A equals to B. So you can do it in this way. Let me put it in the board so you can able to see it. Yeah. Okay. So here's one of the example we are used like pretty often, because let's say if I want to put a SQL statement, but I want to let myself see it like easily, because we know the keyword like select, right? When you learn database, select from where. If I put it as a single line, yes, I can do it in this way, but maybe it's really hard for me to read it. Maybe I want to like join the table, like join some table on, right? So maybe we will make the query is really long and really complex, and I want to easy to read it for myself. Like if for the system, like maybe for the node or the interpreter, they actually execute as a one single line. Okay, but as a human, as a developer, we want to like read it easier. Then we can break down the line. So just remember, use this one. Either pass as a parameter or multi-line, then we can do it in this way. Okay, so if you have it, you can try to input anything and based on my code, and then try to work on it. Okay. So if you want to implement, you can just copy my like all this code and just like create as a single JS file. So because all this is just a JavaScript. Okay. So I can do it like this. So you can see, let me put this one SQL. Let me save it. So I just save it as a called the text.js and then put it in any location. I just for testing, I just put it under my temporary folder. Okay, so actually this one is just something for developer. So for if you're using Mac or Windows, we have called something called temporary file. So the temp is actually you showing the file in the cache memory. So the folder right here for Mac actually is under the main memory, but not the really storage like on your SSD. So when I restart it, so all this will erase. To me, I personally for like testing for one-time use, I like to put it under the memory. So every time I save it, everything's under memory. So there's something out of this class, more likely for OS. Okay. And when you create a file, you don't have to like request because we require anything because we are not using any package. It's just like really basic JS syntax statements. But just like it changed the form is we are using called a ES6, the new version standard. So we're not using the old JS code. Okay. And once you create it, then you can just using the node to execute. So you can see right now I just using node and then run the file like test.js. So you will see I will print out all the lines right here. So hello John, and then this one's I pass a parameter or like output as a multiple line. So also one thing is like good is like it will follow the structure. To if you print it out, it will show exactly the same format, but for execution, it will take it as a one single line. So it won't affect it, our the original code. So you can try to use this one. Could you able to execute all this file? Okay, good. How about this? You okay? Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Warning error. What happened? Sure. So everybody able to follow till this step? Okay, is it okay? I think this one will be pretty easy, but this one is only the function. So we just try to learn the Node.js, some functions or like some features of it. So we are not really talking about React, but how can you apply this to your React project? Then you need to try, okay? So, okay, so this one is called the template literature, and the next one is called the modules. If you are familiar enough, it's like if we try to build a pages, right? So we have like called the app.js, and we try to import. So here's the same idea. So let's say if you find under a folder, one is called the math.js, one is called main.js. And what are we going to do? So under math.js, we have two functions, and then we try to export it. Okay. So this export is the keyword. So we can create. So if you have some function, right now you see the, let's say the happy JS and then the MongoDB, right? So actually this one, that one I give is an example. And for real application, how did I do? I put all those like SQL selection, create a new called the maybe called MySQL.js or MongoDB SQL .js. So I will export all the function, the queries, like this way, and then put the comments and then tell, okay, this one is like to get which type of content. So here's the math.js. So I will export the two functions called add and subtract. So just like passing to variables a and b, so a plus b and main a minus b, and return it. Okay. And after I return it, and then I using import from the math.js, and from here the curly bracket right here. So I importing is from the export the name. So you need to make the name, make sure the name is same, consistent. Okay. So you're using add right here, then you need to import add. Then you can use the function add. Or that if you the function called subtract, then you can put subtract. Okay. If you put uppercase, please use uppercase, lowercase. Okay, follow it. Once you import it, then we can just like doing the same way. Okay, add and then pass the parameter. So it's exactly what it's doing. Okay. And pretty similar idea when we are working on the docile template I gave you, the React.js. So everything is like we try to create a JS file and import it. Let's say the data fetcher right here is more likely a tag. And when we return it, so what did we return? Actually, it's just the HTML page is right here. And for the function, we return the value, adding them together. So if you have like multiple lines to do calculation, then we need to return the final result. You can do it the same. Okay. So multiple line, remember to add the curly bracket. So if you can, so let me open the file. Let me get a new one.
So
Mm-hmm.
you have to, when you're importing from a module, you always have to specify which exact function you want, or is there a way to just export it? So if you want to add and subtract, do you need to specify that you want to add and subtract?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you just import everything from math.js?
Depends on how we declare, but if we declare in this way, we just like get what you need. Okay, yeah, just like let me think. But what I did, I remember all time using star, but I'm not so sure if they changed the syntax right now, because I didn't put it right here. So right here you will see the other thing is they are still doing the same. So we can declare the format like this. So we'll give a name. Because we cannot use an extra. That means the star like as a function, because we need to use the function, right? But if you input everything, then also we need to do it as the same. Because here's the issue. Let's say I have two functions, add and subtract, right? So if I input everything, then how could you know like which one I'm using? Well, I don't know which one I'm using.
So,
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't just, okay, if you got everything from math.js, it wouldn't just know, okay, well, there's an add. and a
But
set.
yeah, we don't have, of
So-
course, we don't have. Yeah, of course, like we can do it in this way, like import all the modules. Yes, you can do, but one thing is if you know, but when we try to, actually one thing is like, for development, it's like, if you are not using some modules, but you try to import into a library, actually it's kind of like wasting your resources. Okay, that means that you try to like get something ready on your table, but you will never use. So for developer, good behavior is you should know, or like go back to the document. Let's say in these modules, I have 10 methods of 10 functions. Okay, but actually I'm only need to use 2 for this file or for this function. Then actually it's not a good behavior. Like simple way, import everything. But for advanced level, I say I don't recommend you like to doing it this way. Yeah, of course, it's easy way to import everything and then just call a function. But when you call it, actually you know which one you need to use, right? Then better behavior, just import the one you need. Okay. Yeah. And if for security issue, why we are not try to like import those functions? Guess, you say. This is also including the security issue too. I'm not importing all the functions. So actually, it just if you learn, remember, like we say that some mechanism. So it's one thing is for, yeah, of course you can import all the function, but we never use. You may be thinking, okay, I'm implement my programs. Then I'm the only one use it. But when you launch to public, so that's why we are learning like for security. Why there's some code injection passing. Yeah, it's possible that if you didn't like write the code while checking, then they may be able to call. If you learn some like OO like Java, why we set some variable as a private, or sometimes we set some function as a private, or like why some of them they are public. Here's a reason. Because we don't want to, there's some function with like alter or like modify the original value, the value, right? So that's why we set some certain function as a private, or here's a reason. Okay, so here's the same idea. So if we want to protect our data, or like don't want to let the hacker or like middleman attacker to modify or like use, if sometimes they will just try, right, keep tracking or list all the possible function, and then based on those possible, like list out all the function you're importing, you're not using, and then I just call those function and then modify your content. Yeah, I can inject it. Okay, let's say if I user, I can just only get, I just need to get the user, but you allow me to call the function called add user. Then I can just add one more admin account, right, to access to. So that's here's a reason. Yes, you can do it like the format just like this. And because you need to give it as a name. Okay, just like we need to use S. So it will be like this. I can show you. Okay. Okay. Just like remember to give it. So this one, the FS is the reading, they're getting an input. So if you're importing the modules, we export from here. Math. So if you import right here, you're getting all these functions, and then you just give a name and then dot. Okay. And that's all. And then, okay. So in your main, after you import, then you can call all this function. So this one is kind of easy, like calling this idea with like creating modules and make and call okay. And that's how we do, pretty common when we're building our website, or not only React, but if using the Node.js, maybe even other language like programming language, is a pretty good behavior. Try to put the function like in separate, because you need to, we always thinking like called reuse, right? Like try to create a function being reusable and then make them as a components. And that's how we do, like we try to create a function and then export, then we can import it. Okay, so it's kind of idea like create a library. and then we can import like anytime we need. And if you have it, you can try to execute these two files, and then you can try to just let you, because right now we have the two function, add and subtract, right? So you can open the math.js and the main I gave you. So right here. So what do you need to do? Try to export two more function. For math will be multi and then divide. So try to implement two more function, export and execute. So this your that time, so you can try and just modify the math function and call this one. So you need to like times, like just like call any function name and try to create two more functions. Multiplication and then the division. Okay. If anybody is ready, then you can show me the result. So do you know what you need to do right now? Do you know what you need to ask? So just then you can show me if you finish. So go to the math.js this folder, and then because I asking, because you have two function, one is called add and subtract. So try to add two more function. One is the multiplication and one is the division. And we try it and then try to call it like import these two functions together. I think I have to. Yeah, like this, so I already so all the groups that we are using the next I will upload. So yeah. If you want to do right now, yes, you can basically on like a Linux environment. So it's why I'm kind of this one is a pretty common way to use. You may use it for the other virtual environment. That's right. So this one is not limited to the React. Also, if you want to implement for your JS server or the MySQL. So all these are possible. You can do it in this.
So I joined this, they're using this to do
You just do that. Yeah, but we can try to use it.
Yeah, so the reporting is.
Yeah.
You know, all those are something, so-
Oh,
so all those are something.
okay, yeah. If not, I'll come to help you. So let me go it. Okay. So here's the example, and the most important one, you will see a lot. The a lot will be not only your React.js, but also the Happy.js, your API server. So here's the idea. We can call it asynchronous programming. So for this one, we need to promise is using to handle the synchronous operation compared to the a callback. Also, you see something called a callback. So you we try to return the value, like pass it from the parameter, return it from the parameter. So it's called a callback. And another keyword we have called async and await syntax. So it's to work with the promise. And here's a reason, because for some action, we need to wait for maybe a while, or like maybe let it to complete. If we don't put async or await for getting the return, especially you try to connect to the server and get the value. If you don't do that, doing the waiting, and if you, let's say, using a use effect, and then you try to get the data from the API server. Okay, so if you don't wait for it, either it's empty content or it pops up the error. So that's why we use the asynchronous function to wait. Okay, after I send a request, I'll keep waiting the server to reply me. Because when we execute the code, actually it will finish. You know the CPU, that how fast it processes. So if you don't wait for it, like kind of like a call. So one of the system calls that I just like put it to wait, like have interrupt like idea. So I'm waiting for it for the return of data. So once I receive it, I will execute next part. So here the example, let's say I have a promise. Promise is okay, I will keep waiting for this one, and then set timeout. I have a data. So just like I have a string and the integer. So we solve it is a reject. So when we have rejection, then we will have a return it. So here's the resolve handle. And I will return a code, like set a timeout and wait for 20 seconds like this. So this is like how we like try to fetch our data and wait for it. Okay. And how it works. And when we try to create a synchronous function, and we always using one thing is like we'll declare. So the difference is you will see the keyword right here is async. So the async is put in front of like the bracket. So this one is the parameter. So if you know the function, or we declare. And also we will try to like working with the try and catch. So let's say if there's some return error, then we will catch it and pass that, like log the error message. But async is always working with await. So they're working as a pair. So for this function is asynchronous, then we may be waiting for a certain function. So let's say I will wait for the fetch data. So the fetch data will look like this. So you see a synchronized function. Okay. So, and one more is the async promise. Okay. So we'll fetch the data. So they're working as a like pair. So I will calling this one like synchronize. I wait for it. Once I execute, I will wait until the maybe the server return when I receive the data. If you don't do this one, maybe you want to get the data from your API server, you will always get the maybe null or empty. So like it depends on how you declare your original value. Maybe if you want to fetch your data, let's say the data you declare like this one, let data equals to empty array, then you always return. You always get the empty array without await, because after you execute the function fetch data, let's say I put it right here. If it's too small, that let me put it in the app. Okay. Okay. Let's change it, change data. Okay. So if you are not using the await or just like fetch it, if you're doing in this way, okay. So when the program execute, we call a function fetch data. Fetch data will try to send a request to API server. Then we'll execute. Next step is console log. For this one, we just like return the empty array of the data. So we never have a value, never. So when you like implement your web page, and then you will see, okay, why we never get the return item, or like why this page is always empty. That's why you forgot to implement the asynchronize and await function. So once you await for it, then you will really get your item list, okay? It's an idea. And we try to cover one more. And that one, maybe after you get the data from the server, then maybe you need to store something in your local devices, like the client or web browser. Most of common things that maybe we have a session ID. If you have a login, then you will save the session ID. Okay, session ID, when I send this session ID to the server, then I will match with my user ID. And based on the user ID, I can search some certain content, like give your personal profile, maybe some history, maybe your if you're online shop, then maybe you add something to your cart. So all this will be doing it. For the local storage, you can just say by setting like import. So local storage set item. So you can set anything. Most of the time we just like say local set item will be your cache. Like maybe we call the session and then put your session ID return from the server. Okay. Or if you want to save the name or some other information, you feel free. Then you can use this one. And then you can get it just like call the local storage get item and then put the name. Okay. So this name should be matched. Okay. So if you say I forgot it, then you shouldn't forget, because like when you use it, then you should able, especially writing your code. Okay. And then we just save it as a constant. So for constant value, we cannot change it after we assign. So remember, like, so most of the time we're using the constant, but depends on how you use it. Another one is called let. So you can like modify the content, even though you assign value. But if you using constant, then you cannot change it. Okay. And removing data, sometimes like after you expire or like it log out or like you not keeping like stay on that page, then you want to remove those like store data, then you can use the function called remove item and put the name. So this one will be like using regularly. So set item, get item, maybe you remove it for one time. Okay. So here's the example I gave you, got the local storage. Okay. And then how to make it a complete program, then you can try to use it, or maybe for your project or the assignment. So I say try to build it and get the item. Then you also can apply the local storage to keep those data. Okay. Or maybe you can apply the concept like how to use the session ID, because it's not yet even how teach you how to do the checking, validation, everything, but you can apply this concept like say, okay, I want to keep the user ID, then you can do it, use it and post it. Okay. And the next one is called the index DB. So IndexedDB is more like is a low level API. So that one is also help us to store some like significant amount of structured data. So it's kind of same idea as a database. So like create your own database, and then you can like execute some command to store the data or create the index. Just letting you know, but we are barely to using Query Index DB. So it provide to you just depends on your project you need. You can create a client-side storage in this way, but most of the time we are doing as a like caching. Okay, or like some storage is something we have to like store it for long term, like in your local devices. Okay. So we barely store everything, but unless you want to make sure they are available offline, then you can do it. Like for some content, you want to make sure they are like available offline, but you don't want to like always like saving in this format. It's called the object form, JSON format object. Then you can change it as using an IndexedDB. Okay. Here's one of the example code, but you can how to implement also. If you need to use it, we can refer to some online document and see for the details. And one thing we will use a lot is really similar. It's called caching. So caching is really essential for improving the like web application performance and also the like offline capability. That's how it works. Like that's why when you like open a web browser or the cell phone application. So we want to increase the accessing speed. Sometimes you are not, we always need to refresh the data from the server side. Let's say my profile. Okay. So I may be like keep it as a local or save it in a cache. Unless I update my profile, I will send it to the server and refresh my cache. Okay. If I'm not doing this, suppose my profile won't like suppose that never change, right? So that's how we apply. So we just like maybe we will add some like event listener, this one itself to install it, and then for the event listener, then we will just like wait until what, and then we call the function cache function, and then open. So VM is called a name. So we have a version 1, version 2. So for this cache, we do like we add also maybe we try to add the like index for all our web page. So passing the array like this one, and this one you can use or try to apply for your project. Okay, adding the caching. Okay, so increase the speed. So when we create a VM app, then you can using the called a service worker. So of a box. So it's disabled by default. So we are not using caching. So if you need to use it, remember to enable it. So if we have a index.js right here, so we have a restrict mode, then just remember, okay, we can just change the service worker from unregistered to registered. And what else you need to use, then just like based on you need. And then after you finish, I already upload it. Called a service worker. Let me see, where is it? Okay, it's right here. Okay. This one you see we just like give this cache as a name, so you can declare as a parameter, or just like pass it directly, and then what kind of what the URLs you need to declare, so we can save it as an array. So this one will be the home index. We maybe have some like static JS bundle, like some JS file. So it depends on what files you need to save as a cache. And next, we need to install the service worker. So this is part of a program I gave you. Okay, you're able to see it. Okay, so right here, so you see some the structure is same, but this one I pass it as a parameter. So cache name, cache, and when we open it, so we just add So this one I can pass it as a the array. Okay, so you will see the structure, it looks different from the example, but right here I will pass it as a parameter, like the variables. Okay. And then next. Sometimes after we create it and at this time, then we will check. Okay, so every time when we load, then we will try to check. Okay, did I save this one in my cache? If I did, then I will check it. Okay, so when I try to send the event, we crash it and say, okay, if I have it, then I just return a response of a cache. So if no, then I will send the like fetch event request. So this one. So also one more is like add an event self, like add event listener. So maybe I check. Okay, based on the same name, and then maybe I will check this name. Do I have something matched? Then I'll return it. If no, they're not included, then I'll just delete all this cache. Okay, remove the old one. If I don't have it, then I create a new one, save it, and if I have it, then I just delete the old one and then save a new one. And here's the overall we were using of some functions you may use for your web programming project for developing your React or the like Happy.js or the MongoDB SQL. So you can apply all these functions. Okay. Let me keep it right here. If you want, also you feel free that I gave you some example, you can base on your need, then you can customize your own. So just like you can save this one for the service worker, or you can put any name. So you just need to import it and create a new one. Okay. So if you want to try to integrate with your if you have some page you develop, and then if you want to try to integrate with the caching, the function, then you can try. And you will see after you implement the caching and then with the service worker and then register, then you can try to make it like your browser go offline, make yourself offline, then you can try to refresh. So if you're still able to see the page, that means you have a cache. No, that means you didn't register it successfully. Okay. Yes, of course there's some benefits like getting offline. So good or bad, if we have to know not only yourself, your browser have caching, also the nodes. Especially when we have multiple devices like intermediate, say if you send a request to the to your API server, like maybe your data center, something. Actually within a node, sometimes they also have called a caching in the middle. So when you request why certain data, you say, I already modify, I check my API server is working, I make sure that content like already updated. But why my web browser didn't refresh it, like it didn't fetch the new one? Probably because the intermediate or some nodes save some caching file not yet updated. And sometimes for me, like for development, I probably have a habit, like when I build a website, I always say have an incognito mode. But this one we won't keep any cache for your program, so it can help me to check. Okay, in case I modify the content variables, at least it won't keep the cache. So I know every time how, like when I modify it, I will refresh, get a new copy of it. So it's make sure. Yeah, because for development, you know, okay, if you have cache, here's the issue is when you update the value, but you refresh it, but you still get the old copy, the offline copy. Then you say, okay, I already update the value, but I still get it. So you will go back to your server or like somehow to like check it again. So you spend so much time like waste for debugging something because the caching issue. Okay. Just be aware of it because it really happened as a beginner or like as a senior. Even if you didn't realize it, then you have an issue about caching. Okay. So we can change it the version. Sometimes you can check that maybe the one I gave you when we define it, we name it a V1. Actually, you can put any name, but let me see right here. Okay, so we call the cache name. We call it as a V1. You can call it like V2 or any version name. You can change it. So, and then we have a called a caching strategy. So just depends on what you need. Okay. So you can have a different way. So call a stay while and then cache on first. So wherever you want. And then when we need to update, also try to update the cache asset without the users need to refresh manually. So you need to like implement some logic. So how often to execute this like service worker, check the updates. Maybe you are waiting for 10 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, so whatever. So it depends on your web page implemented. Maybe right now you are not really knowing what's doing. So, but once you want to apply it and integrate with your project, then I think you will have better idea how it works. Okay, but why not just have an idea? So what's caching? Okay. And one more thing is about the dynamic list. So for the list, we just thinking we have called the destructuring, and then we have mapping function and called the template literal. So you know the template literal. So when we need to use the destructuring like exactly ID, name, description. So how we, and then we will mapping with the map function. Sometimes when you look at the example, so you see the mapping. So we apply called the arrow function and also a spread operator or the default parameter. So I will show you the example right here. This one. And also dynamic this. Okay. So right here, you will use pretty often. Okay. Okay. This one is like I already declare called an app, and then with a default, I already implement some items. It's an array. So right here, so it's an array with like some object. If you are trying to using the fetch function, working with your fetch, right? Then it will be, let's say if a function equals to, let's change the content, let's say constant items equal to fetch data. Let's say I call the function like this, and then maybe I will just using the await, like try to wait this one to return the value. So it will be look like this. It's an array with all the variables, like the attributes, right? If you return it. So if you try to list the content, so if you remember the template I give you, are using this called the map function, mapping. So you can use this map function. So you just say using the variable. So this one called the item. So dot map. So based on what you map with, so right here I have a called ID, name, and description. They are the parameter we are using. So per bracket, so right here, ID, name, and description. So you can use like all of them, or you maybe just need two. So it's pretty similar with your like the modules, import modules, the same. So let's say if you just need to use the ID and the name, then just change it to ID and name. Okay. And I will use a list. So you can see I just like integrate them with the HTML tag of the function. So I run it execute as an item.map and then with an arrow function. So you see, and here's the list. I give the key. So keys that I want to know for this the items, what's the actual IDs. So I use the ID for the key. And then I will add the like header. So the size is 2, and the header put the name, and then P is the paragraph. So I will show the description. So if you still remember refer to the example, the data fetcher here. So here's a complete function. You will see I have a constant variable, so I call response. So it's what it returns from the server. So I'm using a wait. So it's like synchronizing a sync and await function, right? So for the synchronization, I try to fetch it from my server. Okay. So I will wait for it until I receive the return value, the response from my API server. And once I receive it and I save it, so it's a break form. So let's see if I receive it. It's okay. So it's one of the header, like default header is called the responder. Okay. So if the data is a true or false, okay. So it's return false, and that means change to true. That means some error. It didn't reply. Okay, but it does reply. Then I would just change it like respond.json. I get the return, save in, and then I'll call the function set data. So pass this data, and I have some like loading function. So right here I said like the array doing the mapping. So data and dot map. So I just save it, pass it as a post. So I get everything, and everything post.id will be the key, and then we have the post.name and then post values just similar to the description. So that's why you see I put the list, right? If you know, and that's how it works for the mapping function. You use a lot, and especially for your coming assignment, you need to use this one. Like how can you get it? But the one I didn't show you, but you can figure out. I give it 2 weeks. So if you have a problem, how to post it, because you learn. If you did try last time, I say you tried to create a form, input, get the value, like show those your like input form, right? The one maybe some of you just input the name, or we use the code, but this time you need to create by yourself. Like you maybe try to maybe make it easy, just a form, have a username or a message, then you can post it to a server, and then you can have a page. It's like post the message, yeah, like this 2 pages, and then the get method is the same, but the one is slightly tricky is the post method. You need to post it like a JSON file, and you need to I maybe cover in like later in the lab before you submit it, so you learn it. But I want to let yourself some time to like study like how can you create a post method, post to the server, then it will be better, right? Okay, so will be probably lecture time for today, so not really practicing. So most important is like you need to familiar with the ES6 syntax, because when you search online, pretty common right now, when you get the example code, they should give you the ES6 because it comes out pretty long time. But maybe you will get some like old style, like the previous style code. Then you need to know how to convert those. Okay, yeah. And important concept, how to use that synchronize, and also how to save the using a constant storage, especially using the index, local storage, and mainly is the local storage. And another thing is how to do caching. Caching is a bonus, so recommend you try to learn it. And that's it for today's class. If you have any question, you can feel free to ask me. I can help you. Okay.
Thank you very much. So for the main, I just, so for both of them, I just have to change the extension to MJS. I guess it's very costly.
Window.
Something like the JSON, the tagging, you have to specify that it's a module type. But if you don't have a JSON, you don't have that JSON. So it's when I do that extension so that nodes will read it as MJS file instead of just a standard.
Oh, that's weird because I think it's maybe the maybe
have like separate. Like this step is how I found out like several
Yeah, never to do it. Well, now I basically on the Windows side, on my side, you go to.
So I have some,
Okay.
so when you contact the same,
Because
they
that,
have
we don't
all
want to
the
make
local this for everything.
you know.
We have the settings, system, yeah, the storage settings. For the setting to change or new things that you say to C drive instead of OneDrive. Sure.
Yeah. Say it from digest to non-digest. Maybe it's going to learn.
Yeah, I think it's good. So the top.
These are not verified. I mean, you're reading about it. You don't know. I'm literally sitting here like, per patient, because at one point, at least my like glands were like rage shaking. Like, okay, run another one, see what happens. Instead of giving up, I continue with the work, but unfortunately, it's at the cost of I'm probably gonna get. So I need to not buy another drink after this. And get my direction stuff figured out.
I guess they're all supposed to be.
Otherwise, I have to jack with, like, if I reconfigure all the stuff, which is what I should have done when I first got the laser, had I known we could do this, then
Like,
if I do that now, then
like even the project.
I just think it's
using,
not that big of a
if
deal
I
to know.
pointing the module.
It's the
Yeah,
not
like,
knowing.
I use module.
Yeah.
well, I'm like constantly missing stuff because I'm like fighting with my computer. So
Yeah.
I just spat.
So much as the MJS,
Yeah.
so it's kind of.
I think mine, I just go with my computer because I
So
I already configured, I need to not do that on my home desktop. So I got a laptop, I started doing Microsoft, you know, so it must have synced those settings, but I have a desktop, so it's not that crap.
That's literally been
You have to change.
why I haven't been able to
the
follow.
Otherwise, they don't know how to. It's possible, yeah.
Because what I read, it's just how Node.
I mean,
I do it, and then I got getting there, and I realized that.
Whether it reads it as a
directory that
JavaScript or as
everything's in, so it's all in OneDrive, and on Windows Explorer, it doesn't show OneDrive at all. So I pull up properties, and it shows.
Yeah, so yes, you can still use the old style. Yes, you can look at, I think it's.
I'll read it a
I'm just
little
gonna
more
embrace
than that. I thought I was gonna throw a wrench.
Well, I've disabled stuff too, of course, I still.
So,
The OneDrive directory.
Me too, I have to review, because I know there's always change, I even for no, they, what's the, I don't know. When they come, so release the, ES6, I also like to spend some that. I know they fade out something, like if you see something like tweaking, if they want, they
Thank you
make
very
it
much.
again from the situation, they really drop it out, so.
yeah.
I have to change all my source code.
Not trying to take away some
So,
Here's last time,
You're not.
just
Yeah.
succeeding it.
Like I said, this is, to me,
Thank you.
this is.
Thank you.
involved.
I haven't been, because literally I'm just